Jason Weiser, are you ready to fearlessly question today?
Why not? Let's do it.
All right, casual. First casual response I've ever gotten, so we'll see what that kind of means for the show. But either way,
What
I
kind of
think.
responses do you usually get?
I mean, honestly, the emotions range. It's all across the board. People are kind of nervous, panicky, kind of
Yes, Joey,
excited.
let's do it.
I've never had
Yeah,
that,
like
so
kind of the Pat Sajak kind of response. You're like,
I
yeah, spin the wheel, spin the wheel. Yeah.
that would be the first. I have not had anybody that excited to talk to me. Maybe someday I will get there, but I can only hope for such a reaction. So I will take your casualness and I will deal with it and see what I think it means. Um, so, before we kind of get into everything, the first realist question, and I just found this out like literally an hour before the show. What are the chances of you and I coming to virtual fisticuffs over our geographical locations where we hail from?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the whole Ohio, Michigan thing, I'm a Michigan State guy, so Buckeyes don't really bother me that much, and I'm just not really ever been that much into sports.
So you're gonna just deflate me, or
I just
withdraw from the
never.
whole like I'm better than you. I don't like football, Joey. That's what you're gonna give me.
My most exciting sports moment was the year it was what 90, I think it was 90, 89, 90, whatever it was, and Michigan State tromped all over U of M at Michigan State, and they never should have won the game, and they did, and the whole city just erupted. I mean, it was chaos, and it was a blast because I was a freshman in college and never experienced anything like it. So
You say 89, 90?
somewhere in there, yeah, 89, 90, 91, so right there in that area. Did I just date myself? Do the math.
I'll put it this way. I was in kindergarten, so I don't know how that makes you feel, but we'll put that out there. I'm not trying to say anything, but let's say it predates me, so I don't have any real memory of that happening, but I'm glad it was exciting for you. So why don't we, real quick, before we really get into it, why don't you go ahead and just catch everybody up and kind of give us your story. I don't know, you don't really talk about this that much, but just kind of give your background a little bit and then how you kind of fearlessly question your comfort zone on a regular basis.
Fearlessly question my comfort zone. That's interesting because just earlier today I was fearlessly questioning my comfort zone with my lead developer. I say with the lead developer at Wiser Sites, Nick Cardot. And I was talking about how I get pretty hard on myself sometimes in some of the work, and I'll be like, maybe we should do better on this. Maybe we should work harder on this, or I don't know how I could really go too far into that. But web development company, online marketing, strategy, business strategy. We're kind of the general contractor. We have most of our clients come to us because, like, looking for a website, and then we let them know that really we don't build websites, we build marketing engines, and that the website is just a part of that. And that's what we do over at Wiser Sites LLC. Some people may know me better from On-Track Tips, which is really just the marketing leg. We use that as a way for branding and kind of getting people into our funnel. Head on over to ontracktips.com, push the big red button. People have heard me say that. And then the most recent adventure is Social Warfare, the ultimate social sharing arsenal.
And speaking of your lead developer, Nicholas Cardot, he says, nail Jason Weiser to the wall, question him hard, be relentless, don't hold back. So starting off the show with the right tone, Nick, I appreciate the vote of confidence, and we will see what we can do. So I need to set this up a little bit because this is going to be a little bit different than most shows. I don't even know if you really understand why you're here, which is probably not a good thing, but we'll go with it anyways. We had a conversation on a thread somewhere way back a couple months ago, and then we ended up in a private hangout, and we were having a conversation. And from that conversation led to me creating this idea for this show.
Say that again. A conversation that we had led you, so like I'm responsible for being starting the Fearlessly Questioning show?
Oh, absolutely. Every guest, they create their own topic. Like I do not just make it up and like it's like you give me the reason to whether directly or indirectly. So you are partially responsible.
Awesome.
But I don't know if you're proud of that or not. It sounds like you're a little worried that you kind of created this monster, but. So the whole reason, okay, so I'll put it to you this way. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get into this because it is, again, a little bit different. I made a comment to you about the show On Track Tips. I don't know if you recall. More of a suggestion, really, something that I perceived, and I'd said, well, you're pretty rigid, you're pretty on point, on track all the time. You're just running straight, through the thing. And I'd said, well, why don't you mix in a joke there once in a while? And he said, well, I don't really like to be funny. That's not me or something. So I guess my question, the first real fearless question to you is why did you push back at the notion of trying to do something that would maybe be uncomfortable for you and maybe working in your own style of humor?
Yeah. Okay. So I get this a lot in terms of this in terms of an Hangout on Air show. There's many different ways of doing it. Either have a scripted show or an unscripted show, more of an impromptu show. My strength is in a scripted show. I wrote all my questions beforehand. I knew what I was going to do. I did a lot of research on my guests, and I kind of already had the blog post written before I even went into it, and I kind of baited my guests. So that didn't leave a lot of room for improv. As the host, I don't feel that improv is one of my strengths. I mean, it's a lot easier when you're the guest and you don't have to, you don't have so many moving parts that you're responsible for. So I don't know. I'll be glad to throw in a joke here and there, and if I think of one, it's not necessarily one of my strengths, though. I don't know. Maybe it is.
Well, and see, I think there's a little bit you can kind of have a hybrid. So I write all of my questions down here. They are, but yet
nice.
It's still very very loose. It's very loose and free flowing. But I guess you kind of, and I get this from a lot of people, like, oh, I can't be funny. I'm not funny. People like automatically assume that they cannot do something, especially when it comes to having like some sort of joke or whatever. I just was curious as to why, especially dealing with humor, that is such a natural pushback.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's just I don't know. I never thought of myself as particularly funny in that sense. I'm not really. I don't know. I don't have any answer for you on this one, Joey. I have no idea what to say here. Ask me about business, and bang, I'm all day. Get me on a rant, and I'm right there. Get me. But,
not the kind of show we do around here, Jason. Not the kind of show we do around here at all. No, I guess the point is so okay. So your first instinct is to obviously say, well, that's not really. It's never been my strong suit. What would let's say we were to come at you and say, well, okay, Jason, let's say that we wanted to make this a priority, something that isn't necessarily a business objective, but something that might help with the show overall. Would that be something that you could maybe look at yourself and say, yeah, I could probably work at this a little bit?
If being funny were to improve the, I don't understand the question. Are you suggesting that if mixing in humor into the show would somehow improve the value of the show, but it doesn't have some business? Look, I am straight up business dude, right? I do everything. Anybody that knows me, which I get kind of accused of sometimes, but I don't make any pretense about it. I'm online to make some money. I love meeting people. I love making friends. I love to shake hands, and I love being social. But you know what? My offline life, if it's not complemented by my online life, if my online life takes precedence over my offline life, meaning if I don't make, if what I'm doing online doesn't help me live a better life offline with my wife, kids, and then I'm just spinning my wheels. So everything that I do online has to have some business objective at some point. And I think I don't know.
So let me I'll segue into this next question. So I think the core of this whole thing is it's about whether it's humor or not. It's the idea of finding that thing that connects beyond just the information. It's letting a little bit of you kind of slip out into the thing, whatever it is that is unique to your personality. And this is kind of, I think, this was my biggest observation from watching the show. I'd watched the show for a while before I'd actually kind of met you, as we would say, face to face in an actual hangout. And it kind of always felt to me that you were trying to be the host you thought everyone wanted you to be.
That's fair.
But then when I got into the hangout with you, it's like, oh man, this is like the Jason Weiser I thought I was going to meet. Because it's like if we were in a back alley and there were like broken beer bottles, I'd be hiding because like you'd be breaking them off and like like you said, all business. Like there was a certain edge in that hangout. I was like, man, I don't know if I should be here alone. I didn't tell anybody where I was at. Like that's kind of the feeling I think I should have got from the site.
Let's go deconstruct the reason behind my show. All right, I started On Track Tips with this notion that this is a great opportunity for me to brand myself and my business, and I can go out there and start interviewing influential people. And I started asking people that were kind of close to me, and I realized how easy it was to start asking I don't know, for lack of a better word, more and more influential people, right? You know, starting out with guys that are very easy and very approachable, Stepan Avnanian and Mike Alton and Christina Graff. I mean, good friends of mine that we talk to on a day-to-day basis, and then moving to people that are much more high profile, if you will, and people that have a price tag on their, you know, that they have a price tag for, like conferences, Jay Baer and Chris Brogan and Guy Kawasaki, for example. You know, so when I first started out, I had this notion that I have to, as the whole, like I'm kind of drafting. We're fearless the question. I have to. My goal was I can look a lot better by hanging out with these people. It's going to influence. It's going to impact how people perceive me and my brand because I'm rubbing shoulders with these, you know, with these influential people. And I think to some degree it did, but after a while I realized, and so the problem is I'm the host, and I have to feature them. I have to be respectful of their time. I have to say okay, and I interview them about their book, and they're the expert. I bring them onto the show so they can be the expert, right? And I have to be the host. About halfway, I don't know, I did 40 interviews, and it was about 20th interview or so. A good friend of mine, he said, Jason, you've got to show, look, you have some talents and skills too, but every single interview, you're not putting anything of you in there. And I'm like, well, you know, I don't want to come in and sound like a know-it-all or a blowhard. No. There's a fine line there. Don't be afraid to inject your skills and knowledge and let the people know that, hey, you have products and services to offer too. You do consulting. Show people that you know how to do consulting, right? And so when I started doing that a little bit, but not pushing it the whole way, and I think that's what you're talking about, Joey. I think that when we're offline and it's just you and I, or like right now as the guest, I can be Jason Weiser, the consultant, the guy that you want to call at Weiser Sites, that I can help you with your business strategy. But when I'm interviewing somebody, I have to recognize and acknowledge them as the authority and put them kind of, you know, I was never good at the coffee table, the view, you know, style interview. It just wasn't my strength.
Right. Well, I think that's the whole point of the conversation, is because while it's not, you're kind of put yourself in a position where it needs to be. So the question is how do we work to move beyond that? How do we make that at least something that it at least needs to be to a certain extent?
It's not, and I hope that you're not suggesting that it's something about it's a fear or an intimidation factor. You know, I've never asked my wife. I'm not the guy that's afraid to be an idiot in public. You know, there's times when I'll, you know, clown it up. You know, it's not like I don't really know how to answer this, except that by not. I don't know where we're really pushing me on this, because I don't know, I'm going to say, change this question. Let's move to the next question, because I'm really kind of stuck on this one.
Well, the ultimate question is why do we let other people define our comfort zone?
Well, it's not a question of comfort zone, really. And it's not that I'm not going to come in here and talk about insurance just because I heard you talk about insurance, right? I would look like a moron. Right? It's not a question of comfort zone. It's a question of what is the best thing for my audience. And I had to weigh all of the odds. I had to weigh all of the different parameters. I knew it had to be a 30-minute show. I knew I wanted to stay on point and on topic with the content that I wanted to cover. I know that it's not one of my strengths to be an improv kind of guy. I mean, we're seeing it right here in the first 10 minutes of the show. I'm like, I'm stumbling, I'm fumbling. And okay, you want me to be a little uncomfortable? I'm a little uncomfortable right now. You know, because it doesn't feel to me like a really good, solid, like people are like, wow, thanks, man, this is really great content, you know. I feel like there's more that I could give them, or we could give them, you know.
Well, I will do my best to take that polite insult that the show is crap at the moment.
It's not.
It's all right. It's all right. I can take it, Jason. Just own it like a man.
Guy was on my show, right? And I hit him, and I says, Guy, why is it that you don't comment back to people on their stream? And of course, oh my goodness, boy, did that shake things up. And later on, Guy wrote me an email, and I was like, man, Guy, I'm really sorry about that. I did not mean to insult you on air. I really didn't. He's like, no, it's cool. You should write a blog post that said why I insulted Guy Kawasaki on air. I was like, oh man, I didn't mean it to come out that way. Let's stick to the cue cards, right?
Whenever I get insulted on air, it's usually a good day. I appreciate it. So let's
Nice,
not dwell on that. So why
nice.
don't we'll go ahead and as you said, we will let you. I don't know if this is going to make you more comfortable or less comfortable. I don't know, but it's time for you to take a break, turn the tables on the audience, and I want you to ask the audience a fearless question of your own, something you have always wanted to know the answer to, but we're a little unsure of the response.
All right, why? All right, everybody that's here watching the show, why? First of all, let me say hi to some folks that I recognize: Tim Longwell and Roxanne Davenport. Great to see you, Zara. Of course, we got done chatting a little bit earlier, and Ray. Man, I recognize a lot of people. Nick, of course, you're here. Andrea, good to see you for the first time, and Janny. To all you guys, I want to ask you this: why do you watch Hangouts on Air? What is it about a Hangout on Air that you watch? Why do you tune in? What is it about it that you can say, okay, this 30 minutes is very important to me. I want to do this. That would be the question. Because Joey, my show, you probably noticed I haven't done it in a long time because I started to notice a drop off in the amount of traffic and the amount of what my conversion goals had reached a saturation point, and I just determined for my brand it was time to go a different direction. And so the one question I wanted to ask everybody before that last show was, hey, readers of On Track Tips and followers and people that are here, why are you here? What is it you're hoping to get so that we can produce better content, better material, and keep you here and bring you back week after week?
I like that question, and it kind of fits with what we fearlessly questioned hanging out on air last week with Ronnie Binzer, so that was actually a question he could have asked. But
it's easy to answer from the producer side. We know why people produce, and we know all the advantages of Hangouts on Air. But I'm wondering if we've hit a bubble with Hangouts on Air, and I hope not. I really hope not. I hope that it's getting better and better, that more and more people are gonna start seeing it, that we're able to get Hangouts on Air to reach beyond, the community that we're in, to help expand business, to help with the SEO, to help with all the things that we tout as producers about what's so fantastic about HOAs.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you my answer from the audience perspective, not as a host of a show. I would say that it makes them feel more productive than not watching. If you're going to watch live, you're going to show up, you're going to feel like you're actually accomplishing something, and that's probably not all that good because you're probably not really accomplishing much of anything. You're probably better off to stop watching us talk about something and actually go do something. Which is, we could talk. I want to do a show fearlessly questioning hypocrisy with I don't know, maybe Gary Vaynerchuk if he'll ever come on. But talking about the idea of all this content that we create that we're trying to tell these people what to do, but ultimately they just need to stop listening and go do.
Right.
I could be way off, but you could tell me if you want to tell me.
Well, no, I think that there's some. I think there's value if coming to the HOA, you're learning something and you're taking action, then great. There's one of my there's a couple classic clips out there, right? Classic blog posts, classic clips. There's one with Tony Robbins and Frank Kern, and they're asking themselves the question. Frank Kern heads on over to Tony Robbins' house, and he's like, "Hey, let's sit down, Tony. Let's talk about this." And the question that he asks, he's like, "Tony, why is it that so many people are willing to spend all this money and buy our information products, and at this point, these guys' information products are in the thousands for one course, They're like, yet they don't do what they just want to buy it, but then they throw it on their shelf and they don't do what they've done. They somehow get this sense of accomplishment just by buying the product. So what can we do to encourage people to not just buy it and have it and let that be the height of the accomplishment, but to actually take the course, put it into action? So I think, hey, if people are coming to my show or your show or any show and learning and then applying and then coming back later, that was when, Joey, that was one of the things when I stopped getting people calling back or commenting back after the show saying, great, I learned this, I learned this, I learned this, thanks, let's take the conversation to the next level. I stopped getting those emails. And that's when I decided that maybe I need to find a different direction to go with my branding right now. I don't want to ever give up on Track Tips. I think it's a great show. I love what we've got started there, and when that discussion kind of got quiet, that's when I had to look at it and go, okay.
Well, let's go ahead and we'll get some answers in from some people here to kind of help us out as we can here. So your buddy Nick says it's usually because the host or the guest is someone who I respect or admire and want to have that glimpse through the window into their world. So I think that comes back to where we kind of started the whole thing a little bit.
Sure.
Ray says to listen to others' perspectives and to learn more about a broad range of subjects. And Tim Longwell says, depends on the topic and or who is appearing. Sometimes I just want to hear what a given person has to say on the topic. Other times I'm interested in the topic matter rather than the person discussing it. Personally, I will tell you that my only goal and the reason that I would show up live to a Hangout ever was to simply do what we just did right here and put a comment up that's going to get put up onto the show, have the guest, have the host be aware of me, and try to add value to the conversation and impact it in a direction that I would like to see it go. That's the only reason I would ever show up live.
Well, you know what's interesting as I look at these, and I'm not, there is no right or wrong answer, right? Because as a content producer, the reason why I want to know the answer to this is what can I do to be more valuable to you? And when we see shows like Mia's show, for example, on Fridays, Must See Friday, love her show. Great coffee table style, lots of guests, lots of fun, entertainment, laughing, joking, tons of comments, tons of viewers. It's a very active, lively, thriving community, right? My show, more hard-hitting, to the point, fire hose, question, answer, because in my mind I've written a blog post before then, and I know what content I want to have out there. How do I optimize for Facebook? Boom. What's better, Facebook or Google Plus? Boom. And have the experts answer those questions. So it's interesting as I look through at least Nick, Ray, and Tim's answers, I'm seeing basically what they're saying is I want to be entertained. In all three of these, I want to learn a little bit more about the person. I want to learn about the subjects. I mean, it doesn't. I want to hear, get a glimpse into the person's world. I'm interested in the topic, and I want to hear a little bit about the person discussing. But so I'm wondering if that's why shows like Mia's thrive so well, because it's I can put it on in the background, I can listen, I can have fun, I can laugh and joke with the community. Whereas my show maybe got a little bit less. Either that or I suck, which is possible, and I'm okay if that's the case. But my show kind of dwindled down, and I think it's because it was more of a webinar style, more of an expectation. Come here and learn. Sit in class and learn. And that's one of the things that I kind of had to reassess. So I'm really grateful for these answers.
So Jason, why did you push back on trying to be funny?
Why did I push back on trying to be funny? Yeah,
that was a good,
I suck at it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's just because when you're saying that people are looking for that connection, they're looking for that glimpse. Anyway.
Well, I mean, but see, let's see. I'm not Mia Voss. Mia has a natural. I mean, charisma. You can't fake charisma, Joey. Right?
Well, no, but see, and this is why I led with that question, then followed up with the second question that I had, is because I think there's a specific style that you're not allowing yourself to explore with that edge, with that thing. I think you were kind of holding back, and you were trying to again be something that you thought people wanted you to be. I think that's really. I think that's where if you were to find that, then you might maybe you'd be a little.
And I'll be the first one to admit, when I go back and I watch my show, like we're talking here right now, this right here is very different than, hi, this is Jason Weiser and welcome back to On Track Tips. You're listening to On Track Tips. Head on over to the. I mean, there's an actual change in the voice, and I heard that, what was going on, and I heard the way that the question it was more calculated, but. I'm going to hold firm on it. The times I did a couple off script or unscripted episodes, and they did really good. They really did really good, but they didn't convert into a business conversion. I'm not in business to entertain. Why are we doing an HOA? For me, it has a business objective. I want to get people to sign up to my newsletter. And from that newsletter, I want to build a relationship with them. I want you to head on over to ontracktips.com, push the big red button, and let's start up a communication. Let's start up a discussion. I didn't see that kind of sign-up. I got more sign-ups after interviewing Jay Baer and Chris Brogan and Pam Moore than I did with the few unscripted shows that I did. Very natural, having fun, just hanging out with my buddies because people were interested in just hanging out. And you know what? Sometimes it's okay to hang out, and that's why I wrote this post, Joey, that says stop being social and start selling, which I got a lot of pushback on. There's a lot of people that were like, come on, social media isn't all about sell. No, it's not. But at the end of the day, if I'm not converting, if there's no cha-ching, or if there, if you can't answer the question, who's going to buy new shoes for Mama, as Ralph Rivera loves to quote, there. You have to have a conversion at the end, and comedy did not fit the style for my business. That's all the further I can go with that question. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, well, and I would like to congratulate you for having the longest debated guest question in show history. So you have that to stake to your name. So thank you.
The longest debated question?
Yeah, that was the longest I think we've ever spent on a guest question. So that was
nice.
Pretty impressive.
Nice.
So well done, sir. So we're going to completely, if you weren't uncomfortable before, we're going to really get you uncomfortable now. And you actually kind of coaxed this question out of me ahead of time. You are a sneaky, sneaky little man, I tell you. But so there's this thing that you do that you don't talk about all that often, and I doubt that most people here know about it. I don't know, maybe they do. I'm not quite sure the company you keep on a regular basis and how close you keep it. But the question that I have to you is, if we truly believe in something, and I'm talking about the kind of the work that you do behind the scenes, and you can kind of explain that a little bit after I ask this question, but if we truly believe in something, are we not doing it a disservice if we don't help other people do the same thing?
Yeah, so you're probably referring to me being a Christian missionary with Church of God World Missions, and the work that I did over in Ukraine with the Roma Gypsy people. And in fact, that had a lot to do with me becoming a web developer. And this was about 8-9 years ago. If anybody knows my story, I had been dabbling in web development and such. But it wasn't until I started doing websites for churches to help support the ministry, right? So you're probably saying, why don't we talk a lot about ministry? And if that's what you're passionate about, aren't you doing that a bit? I started a community here on Google+. In fact, day 4 or 5. So I think it would have been December 8th of 2011 or 2012 when Google+ Communities came out. Started Christians in Business community. It was a thriving community. It was a very active, very engaged community. I've since turned the reins over to the very capable and wonderful Carrie Green from Podcast Fast Track, helping people get your podcasts edited and produced. An excellent, excellent service. Look for Carrie Green at Podcast Fast Track. But the reason, there's a couple things going on here. And we've had this discussion over in Christians in Business community a lot. So I started out with all of my branding was very much towards church websites and helping ministries and nonprofits. That's where I got my start. I made a transition into the secular space, and I pushed a lot of that branding to the back on my site because we started attracting corporate clout, and it didn't need to be on the front for the branding. I didn't need to lead with helping your church website or, Christian worldview. That wasn't necessarily as important for the business aspect because I wasn't proselytizing. I'm doing business. I'm building your website. I'm helping you manage your business strategy. I'm not here. I can help you also if you have a ministry or a nonprofit. You need help with that. Hey, I'm certainly qualified for that too. But it's never been a fear of not talking about ministry, and I talk about it quite vocally. It's just in different circles, and I'll talk about it publicly on the streams, but I haven't been in the streams very much. Anybody that follows me on Facebook, I'm very vocal about my faith and putting up platitudes and scripture verses and daily devotionals, and have no problem with that. I don't feel that I tried for a while using social media as an avenue for witnessing, for preaching. It just isn't well received. It's not the place for it, and don't slam me to the wall on that statement. There's certainly a lot of opportunity here to witness and share your faith, like I am now. But I was invited to have the conversation. What good would it be for me to run around and like Andrea Beltrami, who's in the audience, who I absolutely adore and respect as an artist, as a producer? What good would it be for me? She's got a bit of a potty mouth, right? But I have absolute respect for her. So what am I going to do? Come up to Andrea, you're going to go to hell if you don't clean up your mouth. Andrea, I'd love to have a response in the comment stream to that.
Stir the pot, Jason. Stirring the pot.
Well, there's a time and a place for all things. And there's a time, there's a season. It's Ephesians. It's to every day, turn, right? Well, the birds took it, but it came out of Ephesians, or not Ephesians, Ecclesiastes. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, I don't hide my faith. You look at my about page, it's there. Look at my website, and you read the about page, it's there. But I don't think for business I need to lead with that in my branding, because that's not the niche that I'm targeting anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily that you didn't. You made the comment to me, I think, when we were doing your prep for the show, the rant that you had put up a week before. You said, like, you'd mentioned the missionary work you were doing to me, and you said you don't talk about it that much. And I was just curious, as if again, I think the missionary comedy, whatever it is, I think there's that sliver of something that it's how do you incorporate it without being overbearing and just letting people know that it exists and it's part of your overall story. We talk about telling stories, and it's just how do we work it in the right place at the right time, and I think that's really
last year I wrote last year when the war broke out in Ukraine. Well, even before the war, it was just the revolution at Maidan, and I was in a small town in Ukraine at the time, and there's a video online of me where I'm standing kind of right in the midst of this clash, where it's not the clash, but it was just, I don't want to over-sensationalize or dramatize it, because in the town that I was in, it really wasn't the front line. It
just let it go. Nobody knows, Jason. You were right there. You had a bullet whiz right by your head.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, it certainly wasn't that, but it was interesting. It certainly was interesting. Then I put a post up that talked about how we are not something. We're always told the things that we're never supposed to talk about in social media. Two of the things we should never talk about in social media is, especially from our business page, is politics and religion, right? And here I am on a Christian missionary adventure in Ukraine, where there's this extreme political turmoil taking place. And I was passionate about it. And for a long time, while this was happening, that's what I was posting. I wasn't posting 10 ways to optimize Pinterest, and I wasn't posting about YouTube and marketing. I was posting about the revolution in Ukraine, or the what was happening at Maidan. And I saw a different group of people start to follow me. Right? A lot of people that were following me for my business stopped following. They weren't interested in that. But yet I attracted a whole new group of people that were very interested in what I had to say about the war, or at the time the uprising, if you will. And so I had to step back from that and think about it. It's great. It's enough. And I tell everybody, in business, you do what feels natural. But if you're online to be in business, then you have to entertain your audience. If my magazine subscription that people are signing up for is Christian Daily, then I'm not going to start writing about what's happening at the Dow Jones. That's not why they're there. It's okay to maybe have an article in the magazine here and there. The economy's rising and falling. Let's pray about it. Fine. But you want to tie it back, to your main topic. I think otherwise you're going to confuse your people. Absolutely. Sprinkle in who you are. Be yourself. Let people know this is who I am. Social media is all about know, like, and trust. How are you going to know, like, and trust me unless I tell you, unless I share a little bit about who I am with you, and then we connect on that level, and you say, okay, and, but I don't think that it's never, it's just picking the right battles, It's just picking the right battles. Yeah.
Well, I think we will wrap it up with this last fearless question, a little bit of self-evaluation for you, and it's a pretty straightforward and simple one, and it's really, where are you feeling a little too comfortable right now?
Where am I too comfortable right now?
Yep.
Ugh. I don't know that I feel too comfortable in anything. I wish I don't know how to answer that question, Joey, because I don't know that I feel too comfortable. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of improvements that I can make in the business. There's a lot of, I could tell you areas that I'm not feeling comfortable better. I'm not feeling comfortable in the way that my business is growing. Am I qualified to be the business owner that I hope to be? Am I a good staff leader? I feel comfortable in that what we're providing to our clients, but even in that, I know that there's more that we can give. There's more that, we can push towards and provide better service in all angles of that, with our hosting services, with our optimization, speed and performance services. I know that there's ways that we can, service our clients better. There's more things I could be doing for my family, right? I spend a lot of time online. I'm a workaholic. That's something I would be doing a lot better. Wife and kids. waking up and doing my Bible studies. You know, I need to be doing that more. I need to be reading more. There's a huge library of books that I haven't had a time to read. So there's a lot. It's easier to say what I'm not comfortable at, and I think that you know, I don't know. I don't want to get too philosophical because I'm not really much of a philosophical person, but I don't know what I am too comfortable at. And I hope, man, that I never get too comfortable. But yet, I think my wife would love it if she'd be just like, shh, Jason, relax. It's okay. Just relax. You know, I think it's okay to get comfortable, but it's not how I'm made. You know, I don't know.
Well, I think we can close it out with this I think this just basically sums up we've achieved our goal, and that's from Roxanne Davenport. She said, "You made me laugh, Jason Weiser." So mission accomplished. I think that's all I can do is that we got you to make somebody laugh. I think we can ask no more than that of the show. But Jason, I do appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today. Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, head on over to ontracktips.com, look for the big red button and push that. But before you do that, head on over to warfareplugins.com and grab yourself a copy of the ultimate social sharing plugin. It's an amazing product and 100% guarantee. Anybody wants to hear more about it, I'd love to tell you more about it. I see folks here that I see all the time, you know, and I want to call you out, you know, Ray, Roxanne, Andrea, Joshua, have you guys tried Warfare plugins yet? If you haven't, try it and tell me what you think. I'd love to have some honest feedback on this plugin.
Well, I appreciate that. If anybody wants to give Jason his feedback, let him know what you think about it. You guys already have probably broken another show record of most answers to a guest question as well, so very popular once again, Jason. You had quite a few answers to that question. So that was a lot of good stuff. But if you want to hear Jason ask himself the most fearless question that he's most afraid to ask himself, well, that you can go ahead and head on over to fearlesslyquestioning.com/getfearless. And you will get access to Jason's question that he's most afraid to ask himself, along with every other past guest as well. I'll go ahead and drop a link in the event page when we're done, but feel free to go ahead and do that. But Jason, as always, I do appreciate the time. Hopefully you can get a little bit more comfortable after we get off here, because I don't want to freak you out too much. But I do appreciate you being a good sport. It was a lot of fun. We'll catch everybody on the next one. Take it easy.
Thanks, Joey. Bye now.